Hello, algebra students. Welcome back to another algebra lesson. You know how this works. Flip grid question up there, go answer it. It's good fun. YouTube lesson you've already found if you're watching this. Now pause the video. Pause it. And try that problem in your notes. Then unpause it and check your answer with me. Okay, graph the function. Just like we did last time. We're gonna graph this bad boy, but first we're going to compare it to the graph of f of x squared. So first, let's graph x squared, shall we? So, there we go. X, y. That doesn't look like a y. Oh my. Y. It's a y. You get it. It's a y. Okay. X squared, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, negative 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, and so on and so forth. Oh man. Left side looks so much better than the right. Funny how that works out. Okay, x squared, there we go. Next. G of x equals 2x squared minus 5. Let's get our table in here. X, y. Remember, there are no fractions, so I'm just going to use -1, 0, and 1. Cool. Okay. G of -1. 2 times -1 squared minus 5. That is 2. -1 squared is 1 minus 5. That is 2 minus 5, which is -3. If this is -3, what is this gonna be? I'm just gonna write it this time. We already know axis of symmetry. This side are the same. Okay, now 0, g of 0 is equal to 2 times 0 squared minus 5. Now, 0 squared, this is just all gonna go away. 0 squared is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, that's gone. This is just 0 minus 5, which is -5. Okay, so now let's plot all of these points. -1, 1, 2, -3, 0, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, -1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now let's connect the dots. Oh goodness, not like that. You don't want it to be a straight line, you want it to be curvy. So, there we go. Better. Better. Oops, rip headphones. Okay, something like that. And this is 2x squared minus 5. Okay, so now, different color. Different color. To compare the graphs, well, the red one is steeper, and down 5 units. Because I have the -5 there, and the 2 makes it steeper. So, that is our comparison. Okay, perfect. Thanks for doing that problem with me. Now, what do we have for today? Today's learning target, you know what ax squared plus bx plus c looks like on a graph, and you can graph. You can graph ax squared plus bx plus c. So we started out small, we started out ax squared, and then we tacked on the plus c, and now we're shoving the bx in the middle. So we've slowly been working up to this point, and now we have ax squared plus bx plus c. I know this might look scary, but with a little bit of information, it becomes not scary at all. So, you don't need to write this down, just read it and understand it. Although, now that I think about it, there are some things that would be important for you to write down. I would write down this. You should already know that, so you don't have to write that down. But these things, you should actually definitely write down. And of course, if you want to put the picture in your notebooks, I'm never going to discourage you from doing that either. So while you're writing those things down, let's talk about what this means. The y-intercept is c. So this plus c that we have on the end, that's our y-intercept. What was a y-intercept? Hopefully you remember from chapter 4, when we were graphing all the lines, that a y-intercept, remember our y-axis right here? The y-intercept is wherever this graph hits the y-axis. So this point right here, that is our y-intercept, and it will always be c. Always, because the y-intercept is where x is 0, and if I put x equals 0 into this function, this goes away, and I'm just left with c. So c will always be your y-intercept, and that is very important. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is this. Right there. That's your best friend for today. This is your best friend. Don't forget about your best friend. They are very special to you. Negative b over 2a. Remember how we talked about that axis of symmetry? Even in the first problem, we didn't even have to figure out, we didn't have to do the math for this point because we used the axis of symmetry. This is going to be very helpful today because if we know what the axis of symmetry is, I know that this point is right here. I can just plop that point over there without even doing any math. So, this is very important that we know where our axis of symmetry is so that we can find more points and we can complete our graph. So, negative b over 2a, that's where the axis of symmetry is. And it also tells you where your vertex is. It tells you where the bottom of the parabola is. So you get a 2-for-1 kind of deal. Yes. The negative b over 2a doesn't tell you where the vertex is going to be on this line. So it could be here, could be here, could be here, could be here, could be there. So in order to figure out where on this line the vertex is, we're going to have to do some math. But that's the only math. That's the only calculation we're going to have to do. Everything else, we can just see the pattern of symmetry. We can just see, oh, there's one over here, there's going to be one over here too. And that's the beauty of math also, is seeing patterns. Not just calculating all the time, but seeing patterns. Okay, so let's use our best friend. Let's have some fun with our best friend in our first problem. So, example 1, we are asked to find the axis of symmetry, and then find the vertex. Find the vertex. So first, we're going to find the axis of symmetry, and second, we're going to find the vertex. Now remember, what did I say about this being your best friend because it's the axis of symmetry? Okay, cool. So, axis of symmetry, this is negative b over 2a. Well, that's great, Mrs. Dodge. What the heck is negative b over 2a? What does that even mean? So glad you asked. Well, remember over here, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So here, what is a? A is 2. What is b? B is 8. And what is c? C is negative 1. Beautiful. Important information, because when I take negative b over 2a here, I'm going to take a and b and I'm going to shove it in there. So, let's get a different color in here. It's easier to see. Negative b is 8, so negative 8 over 2 times a, which is 2. So this is negative 8 over 4. What's negative 8 divided by 4? That is negative 2. So the axis of symmetry is x equals -2. That's it. That's it. For this problem, A right here, all you have to do is plug in A and B. And you get -2. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, now for the vertex. The vertex is a little bit more complicated. We're going to get a different color in here. Remember that the x-coordinate, so the vertex is a point. The vertex is a point, x, y. This tells us what x is. So we already know this is going to be -2, comma, something. We just need to figure out what this is. How can we do that? Remember, this is where I said this is the only calculation we're going to do today. So, we'll leave that blank and we'll put that -2 up there and we'll get rid of this. So, all I have to do is now take this -2 and put it in there. That's it. So, f of -2 equals all of this, 2, wherever I see an x, I'm going to put -2, plus 8, x is now -2, minus 1. And now, you use your calculator or your Chromebook, whichever is easiest for you. -2 squared is 4. 8 times -2 is -16, so I can get rid of the plus there. Just keep the minus. And minus 1. 2 times 4 is 8. And if I put these together, -16 minus 1 is -17. 8 minus 17 is -9. So this number is what goes there. Okay. We might have done that a little quickly, so let's go over it again. First, axis of symmetry. -b over 2a. Take whatever a and b are and put it in to your axis of symmetry formula. Then, once you know where your axis of symmetry is, that is the same as the x-coordinate of your vertex. So take the x-coordinate of your vertex, plug it into your function, and that gives you the y-coordinate of your vertex. Bada bing, bada boom. So, if you need to go back through and actually write out the steps for yourself, we're not going to take the time to do that. But if you wanted to do that, if you went back to the video and watched it and paused and wrote down first, we do -b over 2a, then we use the whatever it was, that's not a bad idea at all. And if that helps you, I did that when I was in college. Might help you to do it now, if that helps you. Okay, let's check and make sure we were right. Boom, x equals -2. Plug it in, just like we did, and we get -2 equals -9. So yay, we were right. Okay, another example for today. So now, remember that our learning target and success criteria said that we can graph. We can graph. But we haven't graphed yet. All we did was find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. So now, we're going to use that axis of symmetry and that vertex in order to graph. So, let's do that. First thing we're going to do is I want to know where is my axis of symmetry. So we're basically going to do what we did in the last problem and then a little bit more. So the axis of symmetry, this is -b over 2a. So, what is A? A is 3. What is B? B is -6. And what is C? C is 5. Perfect. So, now remember we're going to take A and B and we're going to plug it in here. Just like we did in the last problem. I'm going to use a different color. So we have x equals negative b. So negative, negative 6. What happens when I have two negatives? They come together and become positive. So this is actually positive 6 over 2 times a is 3. So x equals 6 over 2 times 3 is 6. What's 6 divided by 6? That's just 1. So immediately, I'm going to put on my graph right where x equals 1. I'm going to put our axis of symmetry. And that's very important, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So now, we have the axis of symmetry. Now, we need the vertex. So first axis of symmetry, second, vertex. And remember, the way we found the vertex was by plugging this in to our function. So I'm going to take f of 1, and everywhere I see an x in here, it turns into a 1. 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 5. And now, we use our handy dandy calculator, or your mind, whichever works best. 1 squared is 1, so this is 3 times 1. Negative 6 times 1, just negative 6, plus 5. 3 times 1 gives me 3 minus 6 plus 5. 3 minus 6 is negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. So our vertex is 1, 2. That's our vertex. So that's also very important. We're going to put that on our graph. 1, 2, right there. That's our vertex. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So now most of the work is done. Right here. Right here. Most of the work has already been done. Because, remember how we said with our axis of symmetry, if I know where a point is on this side, I can automatically put it on the other side. And then look at that. I have 3 points. Just connect the dots and you're done. So, most of the work has already been done right here. All we have to do is figure out one other point somewhere over here. We need to figure out one point over here. Then we can put it over here and just connect the dots. Okay, how are we going to figure out a point over here on this? How are we going to figure that out? Well, wait a minute. Remember in the very beginning, right here, we talked about, we put a star next to the Y-intercept is C, and we talked about that a lot, and we made a big deal about it, but then in the first example, we didn't do anything with it. Might be important now. So, the Y-intercept is C. The Y-intercept is C. So let's come back to this example. C is 5. Which means that that is my Y-intercept. Y-intercept. So this is third. This is the third thing we'll do, is take our Y-intercept. So let's put our Y-intercept on this graph over here. Remember, the Y-intercept is wherever the graph crosses the Y-axis, and it crosses at 5. 5, right here. Oh, we have a point! We have a point on this side of the graph. We can put it on that side of the graph, and then we're done. Oh my goodness. So here's this point, and our axis of symmetry tells us that there's another point just like it on the other side. Yay! Yay! So now, we have this point, and look at that. There's 1, 2, 3 points. All we have to do is connect the dots, and we're done. So start at the vertex, go up. That kind of looks two-line. Remember, it's not a straight line. It's not a straight line. It's a curvy line. Yeah, something more like that. And there you go. You are done. That's it. So first we found the axis of symmetry, and then we put it on our graph. Second, we found the vertex, and we put it on our graph. Third, we found the y-intercept, and we put it on our graph. And then we put it on the other side of the graph, and then we connect the dots. That's it. That is it. Nice and easy. Okay. Well, easy to some, not easy to others. And if it's not easy for you and you need more help, come talk to me during office hours. Okay. Let's see if we were right. X equals 1. Vertex is 1, 2. C equals 5, so the y-intercept is 5. So the 0.25 also lies on the graph. Beautiful. Did it say? Nope. Okay. We're not describing the domain and range, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Okay. Questions? Remember that if you have questions, I am here and just waiting to help you. So email, Google Meet, comment on the assignment, any way you can think of to contact me. I am checking and will answer. So please, if you're confused, please ask. I really, really want to help. Your homework is 8 problems. You have 4 questions where all you have to do is find the axis of symmetry and the vertex, and 4 questions where you need to graph. So these 4, no graphing. These 4, graphing. No graph and graph. All right, and then your launch today. Your launch comes from Mother Teresa, and it says, spread love everywhere you go. Think about how good you feel when somebody shows you love or shows you that you care, that they care about you. It feels so good, doesn't it? So give that to other people. Love other people, and then they get to experience that same joy that you feel. And the more you spread love, the more love comes back to you also. So, spread love everywhere. Be nice to everybody. No matter if they have a different opinion or they look different than you. Doesn't matter. Spread love everywhere you go. That's my launch for you. Take it with you wherever you go. Or take it with you. Spread love everywhere you go and take this launch with you as you go throughout the rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Bye.